Okay, so you sent over this really interesting piece. It's a research article, right?
Yeah, that's the one. From the Educational Psychology Review.
Managing Student Digital Distraction in the College Classroom, a Self-Determination Theory Perspective. Quite a title.
It is, but it gets right to the point.
It really does. And what immediately struck me is how it tackles something we probably all see or maybe, have even done ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. That whole scene in lectures, students physically there, but well mentally somewhere else on their phones or laptops.
Yeah, the digital sideshow, basically.
Right.
Scrolling social media, texting, maybe even gaming while the professor's talking.
It's almost background noise in higher education now, isn't it?
It feels like it. But this article and the research it pulls together, it argues pretty strongly that this isn't just like harmless multitasking.
No, not at all. It suggests this constant distraction can actually um, seriously get in the way of learning. Performance suffers.
Right. So for this deep dive, our mission, if you like, is to really unpack what this research is telling us. Understand the problem better, but also look at the solutions it proposes.
The really fascinating angle here is the framework they use, self-determination theory, SDT.
Yes, CET, right.
It gives us this different lens to look at why students get distracted and maybe more importantly, why some common ways of trying to stop it, well, they might actually backfire.
Okay, SDT. Before we dive deeper, maybe just a quick primer. The article mentions it focuses on basic psychological needs. Yeah.
Exactly. Things we all need to feel motivated and kind of thrive. The big three are autonomy, competence, and relatedness.
Autonomy, competence, relatedness. Got it.
And the core idea is that if attempts to manage digital distraction, clash with these needs, it can cause problems. It can actually make things worse.
Interesting. So let's first get a handle on how big this digital distraction issue really is. It feels obvious, but the article stresses it's not just a few students here and there.
That's a crucial point. It's not just anecdotal like, oh, I saw a student on their phone. The research shows it's a global phenomenon in college classrooms, really widespread.
So pretty much everywhere in higher ed.
Seems like it. And importantly, the research consistently links this kind of off-task device used to negative impacts on learning. It genuinely hinders understanding.
Like you can't really focus on two things at once, can you? Not properly.
Right. Your attention is divided. And the article suggests, based on evidence, that this isn't just missing a few words here and there. It disrupts how we process information, how we remember things.
So there's data backing this up. Lowering grades, maybe? Poorer test results?
Exactly. The connection seems pretty solid based on the studies cited. Less effective learning, poor performance overall. It's not just a minor annoyance.
Okay, so given it's so widespread and, well, actually harmful to learning, it makes sense that instructors try to do something about it.
Of course, you see
Yeah.
all sorts of strategies, outright bans, specific policies about when and how devices can be used.
Standard stuff. But here's where the article throws a bit of a curveball, right? Using that SDT lens, it says these common approaches might not be the best way. They can have unintended consequences.
Precisely. That's the central argument, really. These well-meaning attempts to get students to focus can inadvertently threaten those fundamental psychological needs, autonomy, competence, relatedness.
And that can lead to pushback, maybe? Less engagement?
Yeah, potentially. Let's break that down. How might these policies impact, say, autonomy, that need for choice and control?
Okay, yeah. So if there's just a blanket ban, no laptops, no phones, period, how does that feel to a student?
Well, it can feel really controlling, can it? Like you're not trusted to manage yourself. It takes away that sense of agency over your own learning.
Yeah, I can see that. It might feel a bit infantilizing, maybe.
It could. And if the rationale isn't explained or if it feels arbitrary, students might just feel resentful. Their sense of autonomy is thwarted and, well, they might disengage.
Makes sense. That feeling of being controlled rather than choosing to focus. Okay, what about the next one? Competence. Feeling effective, capable. How do strict policies play into that?
This one's maybe a bit more indirect.
Yeah,
We know the distraction itself makes it hard to feel competent because you're not fully learning,
right.
but just banning the device doesn't automatically fix why the student might be distracted. What if they're lost or bored or finding the material too difficult?
Ah, okay. So the ban tackles the symptom, the phone use, but not the underlying reason they might be struggling to feel competent or engaged in the first place.
Exactly. Taking away the phone doesn't magically make the lecture clearer or more engaging. It might just leave them feeling stuck, maybe even less competent because they've lost a perhaps unhelpful coping mechanism.
Gotcha. And the third, need relatedness.
Yeah.
Feeling connected, belonging. How do policies affect that?
This can happen in a couple of ways. If the policy is enforced harshly or feels accusatory, it can really damage that crucial relationship between the student and the instructor.
Like creating an us versus them vibe.
Sort of, yeah. Students might feel distrusted or like the instructor doesn't care about their perspective. That definitely undermines relatedness.
And maybe feeling cut off from peers, too, if devices are how they sometimes connect, even if distractingly.
That's possible too.
Yeah.
It can chip away at that overall feeling of belonging in the classroom community if the policies feel alienating.
And the article suggests that when these needs, autonomy, competence, relatedness get threatened, students might actually push back more, like become more resistant.
That's the potential irony, isn't it? The attempt to increase focus could, paradoxically, lead to less engagement if it creates this environment where students feel controlled, incapable, or disconnected.
So if just laying down the law can backfire, what's the alternative? The article talks about prevention strategies, right? Aligned with SDT.
Exactly. It shifts the focus from just policing behavior to actually creating a learning environment where students want to engage, where their needs are met so the pull of the distraction is weaker.
Okay, so it's about building motivation from the inside out, rather than just controlling from the outside in.
That's a great way to put it. While the abstract doesn't list specific step-by-step instructions, it clearly points towards the types of strategies that support those core needs.
Let's explore those types. For supporting autonomy, what might that look like in a classroom?
Well, think about offering meaningful choices, maybe choices in assignment topics, or how they demonstrate understanding. It's also about providing clear rationales for why things are done a certain way.
So students understand the purpose.
Yes. When they see the relevance, the value, they're more likely to buy in. It feels less like an arbitrary rule and more like part of a meaningful process. And crucially, helping students develop self-regulation skills.
Teaching them to manage their own attention.
Exactly. Empowering them rather than just controlling them. That fosters autonomy.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. What about fostering competence then? Making students feel capable?
Clarity is huge here. Clear expectations, clear grading criteria, knowing what success looks like. Also, structuring things so students can experience early success, building that confidence.
Like scaffolding the learning.
Precisely. And feedback. Timely, specific, constructive feedback is vital. It helps them see progress, understand mistakes, and feel like they can master the material. It builds that sense of, I can do this.
Right, it's supportive, not just evaluative. And finally, building relatedness, connection, belonging.
This comes down to the classroom climate. Is it positive, respectful, inclusive?
So the instructor's role is key here.
Absolutely. Encouraging interaction, showing genuine care and interest in students as individuals, fostering that positive rapport. When students feel connected to the instructor and their peers, valued, they're as much more likely to invest in the learning community.
So the big picture here with these SDT strategies is, if you meet those needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness,
Then students are more likely to be intrinsically motivated. They'll engage because they want to, because the learning itself feels worthwhile and satisfying.
and if they're genuinely engaged.
The need to escape into digital distractions naturally decreases. It's not about willpower against the lure of the phone. It's about the learning environment being compelling enough on its own.
Now, the article abstract also mentions some related ideas, drawing on other research, things like instructor behavior.
Yeah, and misbehavior even.
Right. And student-instructor rapport, technology policies affecting perceptions, maybe even good ways to use technology.
And the known problems with multitasking. Plus this idea of students as partners.
How do these fit in? They seem to connect back to what we've been discussing.
They really do. They all contribute to that overall learning environment. For instance, research on instructor behavior and rapport directly impacts relatedness, obviously. A supportive instructor fosters connection. An uncaring one breeds disconnection and maybe distraction.
And those strict tech policies we talked about, they can directly influence how students perceive the instructor,
Right.
damaging that rapport.
Exactly. It all ties together. Conversely, if technology is used thoughtfully in ways that actually enhance learning,
It makes the off-task use seem less appealing.
potentially, yes. It highlights the value of staying focused. And the research on multitasking just keeps hammering home the point that dividing attention really hurts learning, reinforcing why this is an important issue.
Not just for the person multitasking, but maybe even those around them.
There's research suggesting that too, yeah. And finally, that idea of students as partners, it aligns perfectly with SDT.
How so?
Well, if students feel they have a voice, that their input matters, that they're part of the process that directly supports autonomy and relatedness. They feel ownership and connection.
Making them more invested and less likely to check out mentally
Yeah.
or digitally.
Precisely. It's all part of creating an environment where engagement can flourish.
Okay, so wrapping this up for our listener who shared this research. The key message seems to be, yes, digital distraction is a real problem in college classrooms. It affects learning.
Definitely. That's well established.
But, and this is the crucial bit from the SDT perspective, how we try to fix it matters a lot.
Immensely. Just clamping down with restrictive rules can backfire because it might undermine those core psychological needs: autonomy, competence, relatedness.
And that can actually lead to less engagement, more resistance, maybe even more distraction in the long run.
It's a real risk. So the alternative proposed, based on SDT, is to focus on cultivating a learning environment that supports those needs.
Give students choices and rationale for autonomy,
Provide clarity, support, and good feedback for competence.
and build a positive climate and strong relationships for relatedness.
And the idea is, if you do that, you foster intrinsic motivation. Students engage more deeply, and the need for digital distraction hopefully diminishes.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Beyond just college lectures. Think about, any situation where you need to focus. Work, hobbies, learning anything new.
Those needs are pretty universal.
So maybe the provocative thought to leave folks with is this. How are autonomy, competence, and relatedness playing out in your own environments? Where you work, where you learn, where you try to concentrate.
Yeah, could understanding these underlying drivers be a key to unlocking better focus and engagement, not just for students, but for all of us in all sorts of contexts?
Something to definitely mull over. Thanks for unpacking that with us today.
My pleasure. It's fascinating stuff.